One other thing that we should look at with file context is the difference between moving and copying files on an SELinux enabled system. First off, let's take a look at the security context and inode number for the Anaconda file in root's home directory. Now, let's move that file to Kenny's home directory. Remember that we said that a file will inherit the security context of the parent directory? Let's see what the security context is for Kenny's home directory. We can see that the directory security context is user home dir t. Now let's take a look at the Anaconda file's security context now that it is in Kenny's home directory. We can see that the security context on the file did not inherit the one for the regular user's home directory. It instead still has the context for the root user's home directory. Why is that? If we take a look at the inode number for the Anaconda file and compare that to what it was when it was in the root user's home directory, we can see that it is the same. Remember that an inode contains metadata such as the permissions and location of a file, as well as a file or a directory's SELinux security context. Since moving a file is just a way to tell the file system that the same file is in a new location, the security context and inode number stay the same. Let's move the file back. Now let's copy the file over instead of moving it. Then take a look at the inode information. Now we see that we have a new inode number that is different from the original. That's because when we copy a file, we are in fact creating another file based off of the original, which in turn will have a new inode number. Let's take a look at the security context. And since the copy process creates a new copy of the original file in Kenny's home directory, the security context gets inherited from the directory it was created in. An example of why this is important is if you have a web server that needs to be able to display web pages. A web page has a particular security context that SELinux checks to see if it can be viewed by others. If you moved a file from one directory to the default web server directory, then you will not have the appropriate security context. In this case, the website will not be visible from a web browser. But if you copy the web page from another directory to the web server directory, and it has the correct security context, then the page will be viewable from a web browser. We will demonstrate this in our video for setting up a basic web server. For now, just be aware that it is best to copy a file from one location to another, then remove the original file, rather than moving files on a system that uses SELinux.